Hi.
So what's going on?
Hello.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing quite well.
Good. I haven't met you.
Julia, no. Hi. We haven't been to SIC in a couple months now.
Gotcha. We haven't actually been to a meeting for a couple years probably, but I actually started doing a meetup as a subsidiary of this Seattle Investors Club up in Skagit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're in so are you running the north one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're in Sammamish, so we would go to the Redmond one. But we just used to go down south to the one every time, but yeah, we haven't been for a while.
Well, then we bought a flip house about 9 months ago, and we've been working there pretty much every day. But now, so we didn't go to too many of the SIC lately.
Yeah. Is your flip in Sammamish?
No, it's in Skyway, South Seattle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people go up north to your meeting?
We started, late last year. And then right before COVID hit, we were up to 12 people.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really great group and it was so fun. And then of course everything hit and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we really enjoyed going to the SIC in Burien every week. That we really liked that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun to look forward to.
Yeah. So how is your project going?
Well, it's very close to being done. It's just some things you can't get done. All we need is like carpet, and we're starting to stage, but carpet is being
Awesome.
installed right now because we go through Home Depot, and they're not doing inside work right now, so we can't get it installed.
We can't get it ordered.
So we're kind of at a standstill.
Gotcha.
That's a question we'll ask. Maybe someone has a private carpet company that they can do. You might see a cat walk across the screen occasionally, but
I did. I saw just the ears.
yeah, we'll be okay. There's a couple of them.
That's okay. My dogs will start barking any second. So
Yeah, then our cats will run. Yeah.
Probably.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this group is so amazing for resources and networking. I'm absolutely sure that you can find someone who can help you get that installed.
We could use someone to certify the backyard.
Yeah, I think
trench, right? The
If
putting
we
that.
want to do that.
Hmm?
So.
It's not, hey, 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 hey. We were,
Right.
oh, you, yeah.
I unmuted.
Oh, yeah, another, another topic we were kind of wondering about was the small business loans. I was, do you know anything about that for
We'll wait to ask everybody.
realtor?
We'll wait to ask everybody.
Mhm.
Hey, the SBA
Yeah.
loans,
Mhm.
if specifically for COVID?
Yeah, for like real estate investors, or in his case, he's a realtor, and he applied for it because the realtors association said that they negotiated to get it to be so that what's that called, independent contractors could
Mhm.
qualify, because he, you know, you have, oh, there's Julie.
What's up, guys? I broke my glasses. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good look I got today. What? I got this side or I got this side? How we do it?
Yeah, if you're talking about the PPP loan, yeah, I know that Coastal Community Bank, at least in my area, is accepting applications. It's a matter of, as far as I've been told, finding a bank that will accept applications. And then it's still a matter of, you know, if you get approved, is there enough funding left? So I mean, maybe there's someone on here that knows someone down south, but I can give you the name of someone up here in Skagit that's accepting them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I applied as a investor because we were not able to get the house on the market. We weren't able to get the carpet or, you know, any work or listed actually. They said that I didn't show a loss, and the categories are really not very user friendly for investors. They're more for how much stock, how much sales do you have, like you know, like maybe for a restaurant.
Hey, Jennifer, you can unmic yourself if you want and say what you want to say. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Go for it.
Yeah, you guys are talking about the PPP, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And what kind of business do you have?
Real estate investing, of like
Oh, the rentals.
flippers.
Oh, okay.
And then also Daniel's a realtor, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You may have a better chance with the on the real estate side as a realtor, but yeah, so they should be able to. You filed your 2019 taxes yet?
No, not yet. Not yet. No.
Okay. Yeah, so it's going to vary bank by bank. So I applied with Coastal Community Bank. I put a comment in there. I applied and was actually 4 business days. I've worked with Coastal for about 9 years, so we have a very close relationship, but they are still taking applications. I'm not sure about the other banks. My parents own a retail store in Leavenworth. They've been down for some 75 days. They've been with Wells Fargo for 20 years and never heard back. So they actually switched banks and got their funding before even hearing back from Wells Fargo. Bank by bank. My suggestion, and some other friends that I've talked to, is that they've applied at like 3 or 4 different banks. And obviously you only want to sign one set of docs, so be careful with that. But yeah, there's no harm in applying at multiple banks, and they'll offer for you. The SBA is putting the onus, if you will, on the banks. So it's up to the banks to process forgiveness and, you know, how they'll look at income, how they'll look at owner draws. So yeah, and it's a pretty easy application process. So I would apply at multiple banks. try and go with the smallest banks you can.
Okay.
Hey, Jennifer, can I message you? I have a question about that privately.
Sure.
What's the best way, Facebook or email or?
I'll just put my email in here if that's okay.
Okay.
I didn't hear the original question. Which type of financing are we talking about? Like single family or commercial?
Oh, I don't know.
No, she was talking about PPP stuff.
Oh, PPP. Okay, sorry. Thanks.
Others.
So if you guys haven't met my friend Jennifer Beatles yet, if you guys haven't been introduced or to Jennifer's program with out-of-state investing, you are missing out big time. She is the go-to person here locally for out-of-state investing. So why don't you tell us what you're up to, Jennifer, just so everybody can get to know you. I appreciate you joining us today. Tell us
Julie,
all
you're so
about
sweet.
you. Yeah, go for it.
You were so sweet. I know, and I'm so bummed. You know, it seems like every week I want to join you guys on one of these, and then something comes up, or I get a call, or whatever. So I'm super excited to jump on today. And thanks for calling me out on that. So yeah, guys, I live up in Snohomish, Washington. I own my own brokerage, Agents Invest. However, we invest all out of state at this point, or in Eastern Washington. We kind of consider that out of state because it's so different over there. But yeah, we have, let's see, I think we're in 29 different markets right now. And so what we do as a company, we actually research different markets across the US, looking for areas that make sense for out-of-state investing. We put an investment team together. So we locate real estate agents that understand the investing side, you know, kind of like Julie does here in Seattle. And
Hey,
yeah,
Jennifer,
so
hold off 1 second. Hey, everybody who's on this, if you are not talking, mute yourself. All right, because we can hear your background noise. So please, Stephen, mute yourself. Okay, everybody, mute yourself.
Ooh, it's quiet. All right. Yeah, so we're in 29 different markets. We have investor agents that we work with. We found some efficiency by actually having them send us deals and us sending it to investors on our list. It's totally free to join the list if you guys kind of want to check out what's available out of state. You know, I own multiple properties here in Washington. We started investing out of state in 2016. So it took me, gosh, a good like 9 years to get convinced to go out of state. And now it's funny, my husband and I were just having breakfast this morning, talking about like our next investment, because we're in the middle of a 1031, and how much our mindset has shifted from wanting to stay local and wanting to have full control over our investments to now realizing how much more we can do out of state when we're not in the way and when we're not the ones to do all the work and do everything. So, so yeah, thanks Julie for that call out. If you guys ever want to talk about out-of-state investing or have any questions about it, or again, want to join our deal list, I'll put the link in here. Totally free to join. We had a little mini mobile home park that came out yesterday in North Carolina, 10 units that came out in North Carolina. We had a 24 unit in Albuquerque. We've had a bunch of burrs come across in Indianapolis. A little bit of anything and everything, but it's all buy and hold. So we don't do flipping out of state, it's just all buy and hold investing. But thanks, Julie.
Hey, can I ask a question to Jennifer?
Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer, it's Aaron. I joined your list and I'm getting your deals, and there are some pretty cool things. So I'm just wondering, and I'm sure others are wondering this too. So I'm in a situation where it's difficult to get financing. Like I just sold a bunch of flips and I have cash, but I've only been self-employed in this business for a year, doing it for a couple of years, but still just not bankable yet. And I wanted to know, just what are the opportunities within the group, like to find credit partners and or seller financing opportunities, things like that. Because I am looking actively, and I do own out-of-state rentals, but finding it hard to participate in some of the deals you guys are sending out because I can't say, yep, I'm ready with my commercial financing or whatever, but I have enough for the down payments and that sort of thing. So just kind of curious the opportunities there.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. The commercial lending space right now is all across the board. I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's under contract with our team in Tennessee on a 42 unit. And the bank that he's working with, they took think he said $20 million in loans to their board. And he was like the only loan that got approved. So it's really all across the board, just weird stuff is happening with commercial lending. But the opportunity is in the owner financing. So we are finding some commercial, property owners willing to do owner financing right now. But it's a little bit harder to find. Those tend to be the less desirable properties, right? So those are the ones that they kind of want to offload. So yeah, I think that there's opportunity for investors, Aaron, as you had mentioned, with owner financing. A lot of times that's not advertised though, so it's kind of interesting. And so it's just a matter of like asking. And then the next opportunity, Aaron, that you mentioned is through partnerships. So we see a lot of that happening. I actually have some close friend of mine that, are really into investing, but they run other businesses and they're super busy. They have capital to invest. They're very well qualified on the loan side, but they lack the time. And so, they're kind of coming to me like, hey, who could I partner with? I'll put up the capital. I can sign on the loan. I just don't have the time to operate these things. So yeah, I think that there's a ton of opportunity there. You get there through networking. We now have a private mastermind group, where people can kind of communicate with each other. We had another investor, post yesterday in our forum, like, how can I partner on this fourplex? So I think that there's a lot of different ways to do that. And again, Julie, I imagine you probably are like the queen of structuring partnerships and owner financing. I know you do a lot of really creative stuff. So,
well, I would say that I surround myself with smart people that are experts in that. So I learn from them every day too. And some of those people might even be on the call here, such as Marissa and Larry and, Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hey.
Yeah. I mean, basically, guys, what my expertise is, my number one expertise is that I'm an expert at knowing who's the expert. Okay. So if I don't have the answer, or if I can't help you, I probably wouldn't bet one of my kids on it, but I'm pretty well deep bench as far as, referrals and all that stuff you may need. So feel free to always reach out to me. My network is deep, and I'm just like you guys, just educating myself all the time, and enjoy sharing that with my friends, which is pretty much how Seattle Investors Club even got started, right? And this pandemic, this health crisis has actually forced us to go online, which frankly is better. More people are able to engage, and it's been great. I know I appreciate a lot of you have been showing up every week, and it's been super awesome. And Jennifer, join us as much as you can. We've got a whole crowd of people on here today. So again, did everybody hear how they can join and get involved with Addicted to ROI and Agents Invest and all that stuff? And just a reminder, we did do a deep dive podcast with Jennifer Beatles here, our friend. Joe is probably going to be able to grab that and throw it in the chat. He says yes. So have a listen to that. There's some great nuggets that we dropped in that podcast as well. And you'll get to know Jennifer a lot better as well. So what is top of mind this week, guys? I know one of the things that is that people are asking me is Nee with us? Yeah, hey Nee. One of the things that, you want to unmic yourself, Nee? Because I'm going to pick on you for a second. One of the things that everybody's wondering about is, remember that loan product that you guys came out with at Certain, which was like a 30-year loan product. What's the story on that, or any ability that that's going to be released? And can you, what's the story? Because we're finding that we have investors like Justin Stiles here who's driving his car, so we don't want him to wreck. I know we were talking about some needs that he has. So what's the update from you in your world?
Yeah, so I can give an overview on just the asset-based lending side. Over the past couple of weeks, we're actually seeing more and more lenders come back into play. So that's good news. The bad news is that even though they're coming back into play, they're not lending it at where they used to be, right? And so if like bridge lenders, I mean, there are bridge lenders who never left, but overall, the ones who are still doing it now, they're all in the double digits for the most part. There are some in the single digits, like high nines or high single digits, like nines. But you're, again, the same philosophy is still in play, that is that you're paying more for less right now when you're borrowing from a bridge lender, right? And so you're paying more rate, higher points, you're getting less leverage, so you're putting more down payment. And that's on the bridge side. So last week I started seeing people coming back into that long-term rental loans as well. But unfortunately, the rates are right now around the 7s for a long-term loan. And so that's either 3, 5, 7, 10, or even 30-year loan. So rates are in the 7s and 8s. LTVs are still extremely low. So if you want to do cash outs, you're kind of restricted to 65% LTV right now on a lot of these loans.
What was the terms of the 30-year product you guys were offering at that time? So people can get a comparison of what was available and that now has gone away and has gone up by how much? Like, what was that? What did that look like?
So our lowest rate was about 4 3/4, and then but most people were in the 5s, so low to mid 5s.
And the loan term?
30 years. So 30 years, 3-year prepay, and somewhere between 1 and 2 points.
So you're seeing that come back a little bit, except for the rates are closer to 7% or higher, and the points are.
Of course, it's still like 1 to 2 points, depending on how you structure it. I think that what hurts people the most, though, is, I mean, one obviously is the rate, and it hurts because you're stuck in it for at least 3 years, because most of these guys have a 3-year prepay, right? But the second thing is that the LTV hurts. I mean, most people are so used to like buying a property for BRRRRs and whatnot at like 70, 85% to ARV. And if you're going to refinance into something that's 65% LTV, you're putting money in when you refinance. And cash outs are still almost non-existent, right? Or they're such a low LTV that it doesn't make sense. So
are the reserve rates still high?
What was that?
So are the reserve rates still really high as well?
The reserve rates have gone down a little bit, but everyone still cares about liquidity, obviously. So you're still going to need to show 6 to 12 months of payments for the most part. But the overall recommendation I would have is like, for bridge loans, if you want to do a fix and flip or buy a BRRRR, you can get them in now. I mean, it's short term, it doesn't hurt too much. But the long-term stuff that you have to commit to for at least 3 years, I would wait it out a little bit. I think the market's going to get better as time goes on, because we are seeing more activity in the secondary market right now for those.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, George Floret, what's up, brother? I'm going to shift over to George Floret. Can you unmic yourself? Can't hear you. Can't talk? Can't hear. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get an update from George on new home construction market. We'll see if he can figure out his audio. He is with, what is it, MN Homes in Kirkland? Yep. Custom home builder. We wanted to check in with him, but unfortunately his mic's not working. So if you can figure it out, just speak up as we go. Anybody have any questions this week that they need help with? Any deals they have they're looking to let us all know about, or any problems that need to be solved that us as a group here collectively could help you out, or anything you need more information about? Anybody? Any hot topics that are burning in your head? Speak up.
I'll the oil prices are going down, and the state is talking about having super high taxes on them. I talked to my oil tank guy, and he's saying that they are discontinuing any registration for PLEA insurance for oil tanks on July 1st, which is 3 weeks from now. So if you have any rental properties or other houses that are not registered with the free insurance, I'd make sure you look at doing that now, and also let other people know. Further than that is, and they may just be using it as a negotiation tactic with the state, because the oil companies are using the insurance. It's completely optional. No one's forcing them to do it. And even though they're stopping the registrations on July 1st, they have the ability to stop it at any point without any obligation of honoring because no one's actually paying into it. It's just a free service. So, you know, if then they could do that in August, they could do that in September, they could do it 10 years from now. There's just no knowing what's going to happen, which, you know, looking forward, you know, if they do discontinue that, and we're talking about, you know, in the real estate industry, you know, we're doing sewer scopes and putting, you know, contingencies on that. I could easily see in the future we're having to do a oil tank decommissioning test as a contingency as well. And because we know that well, I know because it happened to me. Luckily, I had PLEA that they had to dig about 14 feet down. It easily cost well over $60,000 to do that. So something to keep in mind and look at.
I actually called PLEA yesterday because I have a listing that has an above ground oil tank, and I was checking to see if it was registered, and they did tell me that you can still register tanks up through July 1st, and that as long as it closes 180 days past July 1st, you're still good. Like if a sale closes within 180 days past July 1st, you're still good with your registration there. But all good stuff to keep in mind for sure. And then also, just so you know, those registrations are transferable to new buyers if they're registered. And you can actually do the transfer in advance to a new buyer, just so you know, ahead of time online through PLEA, and they just ask you to put the closing date in there. So just some information there for those of you that deal with oil tanks. Let's see.
I'm sorry, Julie. I have a suggestion. I had a couple of oil tanks that I had to decommission. And if you still have oil in the tank and one of these decommission companies comes out, they don't give you any credit for what oil's in the tank. I put a Craigslist out where I said that I had the oil, and I had a couple of people come out and give me a price and go ahead and pump the oil out. So I got some money out of the oil in the tank before it was decommissioned. Just a suggestion.
Ninja. Go ahead, Deborah, and ask your question. Unmic yourself. Deborah Starr.
Sorry, gang. My question is related to the sale of a residential property rental with long-term capital gain. If you do have long-term capital gain, does anyone know if that is added to your income, or is it just taxed at 15% for long-term capital gain on the sale of a long-term asset?
Anybody want to take that on?
I don't know if anybody has the tax knowledge. I'm going to check with a tax advisor, if not.
Anybody?
Could you say the question again?
If you have profit on a rental, which is long-term capital gain, is it added to your income? Let's say it's 100,000 as an example. Is that 100,000 added to your income and then you're taxed on that, or are you just taxed on long-term capital gain at 15%, like regular long-term?
Are you talking about the income profit being the sale of the asset, or are you talking about cash flow?
The sale.
Yeah, that should not be added directly to your income. That should be a long-term capital gain. It can be 20%, by the way, in some situations, but you need to check with your CPA on that. Usually it's 15%, but it can be 20.
Okay, thank you.
Good stuff. Anybody else got any questions they want to ask this week? Any hot topics? Let me see who I can pick on here, who's in the crowd here. Any wholesalers? Go ahead.
Hey, is anyone else having issues getting electrical rough-in inspections in Seattle? They've on the website it says TBD, and it's been like that for about a week and a half, and I'm just wondering if anyone has any insight on that.
Not me, but I'm meeting with an electrician tomorrow. If you're, I would imagine those guys would be able to figure out that answer. Let me see who else is on here. If anybody can answer that for Justin, answer up. Any wholesalers out here on the line? Okay, Gus, how about you?
Hi there. Yeah. So we still have that property in Everett ready to go. The price is reduced on that. So if anybody wants that, that's great. Split level house in Everett. It's on the SICK page, Facebook page, the details. Just email me for details.
Okay.
Yeah, and you talked to Cindy. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, she mentioned you were great.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Up in Canada too. That's I didn't realize you guys were out of Canada.
Yeah, we're out in Vancouver.
How about anybody else? What's going on in your world, Katrina? Anything going on over there?
You know, I'm really curious about townhomes and what kind of people are thinking of townhome sales in the city of Seattle. There's a lot in the pipeline, and I've heard from Todd Rich that the sales of those are slowing down just a little bit. I'm wondering what people are experiencing, because we've got 2 properties right now where the existing home we'd keep, and then we could condominiumize the back. And I'm just curious about what kind of product to put there, and you know what people think is going to happen with the desirability of those.
One of my good friends works for one of the brokers here. Where are the properties?
Let me take this off. So one is Greenwood area, and then the other is Green Lake area, and then the other is South Seattle.
I can probably get an answer for you. One of my good friends works for Greg Stamolis. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a Windermere broker, and pretty much all he does is sell townhomes here in the core of the Ballard Greenwood area. I'll check in with her and see what kind of, what's the story there. They're tapped in to that. I could get that answered for you. Probably not here.
Yeah, awesome. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, send me a text and I'll do that. There you go. See, I don't know anything. I just know people that do. What else, guys? What else is happening? Jennifer, do you have a webinar coming up soon for house hacking or anything, or is that done and over? Are you doing it again?
Yeah, so we did that last week. And then I think our next one is June 24th. We are talking about lessons learned in out-of-state investing. We always talk about how great it is to invest out of state. And I said, hey, in full transparency, let's talk about what can go wrong. So that is our next virtual meetup, webinar, whatever you want to call it, on June 24th. We haven't put that out there yet.
Well, there you go. It's a scoop, guys.
You heard it here first.
And do you record these that people can listen to them later, or what?
Yeah. Yep, we do. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, so if you guys are interested, the house hacking one was really fun. So if you guys have any interest in house hacking, that is a great strategy. So
yes.
Can you describe house hacking?
Yeah. So
how would somebody know if they are? How would somebody know if they're doing it or they would want to do it?
Yeah, I think that's going to depend on the person. So I've done like 5 different house hacks, but some of them have been live-in flips. So basically, my definition is basically you own real estate that you live in, get a minimal down loan, and you either sell it for a profit, meaning that while you lived there, the house paid you to live there. Or I've also done it where we lived in half a duplex and had the tenants pay the mortgage. So the hack part of it is that the housing is paid either through the non-taxable sale of the property after living there for a couple of years, or through rental income from other tenants.
And are we like house hack snobs that it really doesn't count unless the entire mortgage is paid for? Like people argue about BRRRR. Well, it's not a true BRRRR unless you get what do you think the definition is? Is it, or it is, what the answer is, guys? It is what you want.
Any offset is a hack.
Yes.
100%.
So speaking of, tomorrow I am listing a great property that would be a fantastic house hack opportunity in Ballard. Nice big house in Ballard that has the ability to have a separate entrance, and you could have somebody live upstairs, somebody live downstairs, big tall ceilings. down there. So keep your eyes peeled for that from me tomorrow over in Loyal Heights neighborhood in Ballard, if anybody likes Ballard.
Hey, Julie, can we do a little celebration of a house hack type thing, or a?
Yeah, do it.
So we're about to renew the lease on our basement that we rent out, and between the basement and in our shop, we rent a couple of bays in our shop to people who have cars and just want to store them. I think we're about $100 short of covering our entire mortgage for our property once we renew the lease next month. So it's pretty fun. It's been a couple years. We've been raising the rent little by little. So
well, maybe Jennifer will end up interviewing you on her house hack stuff someday, Aaron. We'll pimp you out. I'm like a pimp too, guys. Here I am. I'm pimping out Aaron to Jennifer. What else you guys need? Let's go, right? Good stuff. So Scott Price, good to see your face, friend. What's going on in your world? Tell us what you do and what are you like just waiting for the knife to fall, as Ken McElroy says, or what's up? And tell us what you do.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I know some folks here. Yeah, I'm a multifamily and office and retail investor. And I've actually have been moving some assets specifically to a more liquid position, both defensively and offensively. In other words, in case any of my current investments have significant issues, so I can cover it, or if I find something that has significant issues and is a good buy opportunity, to buy it. So then, just and if nothing happens or nothing much changes, then that's fine. It's not like I'm moving out of things that are a big deal to convert from one asset type to another asset type. And mostly been a lot of the recent stuff, like with everybody, has been working with tenants around coronavirus and things like that, and what kind of policies we have in place and how to work with people who are having legitimate issues, at least on the multifamily side. And on the office and retail side, that's been actually much more interesting in some ways than the multifamily, because businesses just have so many requirements on them right now. And like, for instance, I have a small medical office building, and one of the tenants in there is a dentist. And I mean, imagine, you're in somebody's mouth, with coronavirus stuff. I mean, imagine all the stuff that they have to do as far as their procedures and reopening and things like that. It's been pretty interesting. And then also you're working with, PPP and EIDL and making sure they're aware of those opportunities and all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, it's been pretty good. And that's been somewhat gratifying, most tenants, both on residential and commercial, have been able to make it through so far, not all of them. And I certainly have had a few situations where some people have abused the regulations that are out there, but meaning, they know they're not going to get evicted and not have late payments, and they've taken advantage of it because they're on fixed income, and I know that they've been just abusing it. But that's a small minority. Fortunately, most people are well intentioned and have still been paying rent. So
that's an interesting. I just noticed it's June 4th, right? I've been busy lately, so I just caught up now to realize it's June 4th. And some of you may have had a lot of rent collections that were due by now. Sometimes rent's not late until after the 5th or later in the month. Scott, you say you're faring okay on the commercial side. Is anybody here, how's rentals collections going for you? Katrina, how's it going for you this month?
Takes a second to turn it off mute. We've actually been really fortunate and not had any trouble with, we actually don't have anybody who's not paying right now. We have one that we negotiated up front, some deferral and longer term payment of some past due rent. But other than that, everybody's doing what they're supposed to.
How about out of state, Jennifer? How's it going for you guys?
Great. We haven't had any issues.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, are you guys thinking that this is because the unemployment benefits and so forth and the PPPs and all that stuff are keeping people in line right now and up to date? So we're having, when it runs out, I don't know if any of you guys watch Ken McElroy's videos, but I highly recommend that you do, right? And so, we're expecting a delayed reaction here on the pain that we're going to feel as a result of all this unemployment. I don't know. I can't remember if I posted his video. He did one, I don't know, a week or two ago, which was very, very straightforward and based on data. And I believe it said something like there was 5.8 million people out of work before we got started here, and now there's 30 million people out of work. And that they're projecting that I think 60% of those people, once it gets moving again, will actually go back to work, and maybe 40% won't. So we're going from like 5.8 million of unemployment to adding an extra 12 million of unemployed. Now we're at 20 million unemployed. And that when the economy was pumping along really, really well, we were adding at its peak here about 200,000 jobs a month of absorption of unemployment. So even if you take that number to be, let's annualize that and dumb it down a little, call it 2 million jobs a year getting absorbed. Now all of a sudden, you've got to get back to where we were, you have got to absorb an extra 12 million jobs. You divide that by $2 million, 2 million jobs being absorbed in the good times per year, and that tells you that the recession that we're heading into could be, as long as, 6 years, could be 5 to 7 years. And that this is going to be a delayed effect that happens starting when these funds run out and people have to actually, live off of what they actually can live off of. And his term is don't catch a falling knife. So wait for the time this is the time, like Scott is doing and like I've done, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing, which is to maybe get more liquid or pull on your equity lines and get prepared for what is there's almost no way it's, that it can't happen just purely off data of absorption. You can't absorb. And so the variable in there is how many people are actually going to go back to work when things start moving again. Is that going to be that 60% of the people go back, or, is it going to be higher, or is it going to be less? And that percentage that doesn't is basically your recession period divided by probably 2 million jobs a year. You guys following what I'm saying? It's all dork stuff, but it's fascinating. And you don't have to guess, right? You just have to have some assumptions and watch the variables on those assumptions. But we are headed, and our economy over here in Seattle, maybe you'll fare different, right? I'm sure it's going to be market by market. And that's why it's good to hang out with Jennifer, my friend Jennifer here, because she's paying attention to all these other markets across the country. And I think what people say for out of state, and Jennifer, you can pipe in here, is that some of the key states that usually fall first and hardest and the fastest and then rise again, the ones that are the most bumpy and variable are like Nevada, Las Vegas, or Florida, and maybe Arizona. And those are the states I hear are getting talked about, maybe parts of California, that crash the hardest and come back the fastest, where you're going to have the biggest opportunity of a variable that if you can be a market timer, so to speak, that you potentially have the ability to win really big. I'm paying close attention to that. I'm sure, Jennifer, you are too. Go ahead and pipe in.
Yeah, 100%. I think, job diversity and employment diversity in these different markets make a lot of sense. I've never liked to, go for these areas where they're very much based on one industry. We have seen time and time again that when the, big factory in town shuts down, that leads to a severe, I would almost call it depression in a lot of these areas. So you want to be really careful of that. I also like to track, I know it's very different than what we're kind of heading into, but I like to look at these markets, like what their experience was in 2008. And kind of, okay, so like, you know, how much did the prices go down? What were the job losses? And it's really interesting also to, Julie, I kind of geek out on this too, of like, what was the response of the local government from 2008? So like Nashville, for example, they said, all right, we're going to go into infrastructure. And so they focused on building a huge convention center and really kind of taking that time to take advantage of the low cost of construction and put it into, you know, really developing the city. And now it's a big tourist hub. Of course, due to this pandemic, it's completely shut down. So a lot of the restaurant owners and businesses are struggling. So that, you know, comes up with a new challenge, right? I also like non-income tax states. So that's another target of mine. I like states where, again, I think we're going to see some movement of population. Now that people have the ability to work remotely, if you can take a Seattle wage and bring it to Texas or Tennessee or some of the more affordable states with no income tax, I mean, especially, I don't understand why anyone lives in California. I mean, it's a 13% income tax. So if you can take that California wage, move to a different state that has no income taxes, just that alone is a huge savings. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. We also have kind of this baby boomer retirement crisis that's looming coming up. We've got, I feel like a lot of things are coming to a head, and I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how this is all going to play out. I've been using the same investment strategy since pretty much 2009. So far, it served me well. There was a point where 25% of my tenants were on unemployment, still able to pay rent because I focus on affordable housing. But yeah, we'll see. I'm really, Julie, I agree with you. You guys, you really got to pay attention. That's why sometimes people will ask me, like, what cities I advise people to invest in. And I don't like to answer that question because I want people to do their own research. Everyone has different goals for investing. And you got to know.
Something different too this time. Something different too this time is this health crisis has scared people in a different way, right? So they want to migrate out of these big cities potentially, right? If their jobs are still going to be there and they can work from home or whatever. So I know one of the big stats, like Kenny McElroy says he's watching, which makes absolute sense, is the driver's licenses. So when you know, the migration of the data on driver's licenses, when people move, they get a new driver's license in that state, and they're watching which states are having the most new driver's licenses being requested and stuff like that. Again, follow somebody like Jennifer or hang out with us here because we're all watching this stuff, and or follow Ken McElroy, which I highly recommend, and you're going to be able to follow along on your own. Again, I'm just listening to smart people and regurgitating it to you guys. So good stuff, right? Anybody else out there have a question? Does anybody feel like they're stuck in their business and now they had a plan and they got stuck because of all this and they don't know where to get started again or what path to start going down again? Is anybody feeling confused or, you know?
Hey, Julie, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there he is.
I figured it out.
Awesome stuff. Well, hey, let's shift gears then while we got you talking. So George is, go ahead and tell us what you do, George. You can talk for yourself.
Yeah, I know a few of you guys in here. I'm on land acquisition for MN Custom Homes. We build luxury high-end homes in Bellevue and Kirkland. A lot of you probably know what we do or have seen our product. And, you know, for us, it's been a challenge, you know, the high-end markets with, you know, the jumbo loans disappearing. God, when this whole COVID thing took root, we probably had 38 properties under contract that, you know, management had to really start to juggle. We didn't back out on any contracts. In fact, in the last month last month, 3 to 4 weeks, we've acquired 4 new properties. So we're all ahead full. Thank God, you know, we came out of this thing okay. We went into this probably, we're the number one builder on the east side. We were the 800-pound gorilla, and we managed to stay there. So it's pretty exciting. It's a testament to the books and the relationships that our owners have with the banking, with the banks, and with some investor partners. So yeah, we're excited that we didn't have to cut staff. All worried about that. And
So what happened, George? What happened? You say you had 38 homes on the market, you guys did, or under contract when this hit. And I can hear my kids down the hall doing something really loud, so I'll go tell them to zip it in a second. But what you say that you guys didn't back out of any contracts. Did you have any buyers trying to get scared or back out of any contracts? Hold on, guys. I'm going to go yell at my kids real quick here.
My side of things is strictly the acquisition side. So, as far as, but we're about whatever is under contract at the time. We have a NWG is our marketing arm, and they're the ones that liquidate all of our properties, once they're built, as well as they handle all the pre-sales. So, but, we had some people that got a little squirrely. But I think we've managed to keep all of those people together, all of those deals together, as far as I know. Like I said, my focus is strictly in the acquisition side. So, my job ends as soon as we go mutual.
And what are your marching orders right now, George? I know last time we sat down together, you were letting me know kind of the how many spots you guys had left to fill on your schedule. And I know you were doing well at getting those filled. Are your marching orders right now to go out and buy? And are you guys, we were talking about, what price points we were at in Kirkland and so forth like that before. Are you guys now, paying 20% less, just not, simply out of just caution? Or are you guys paying the same amount as we were discussing, last time we got together?
Well, everything's changed from 60 days ago to today. So 60 days or so ago, I wasn't able to buy anything that didn't close. I wasn't able to buy anything in 2020. Everything had to close in one of 2021. So we were 10 months out on anything new. We've reeled that in considerably to Q3 2020, late Q3 2020. So we're able to buy stuff now, with a shorter fuse. So
are you
thankfully,
guys what are you doing with your earnest money right now if a deal comes across your table? Right now we're talking about, for all you out there, we're talking about new construction, and George here being an asset for you if you're on the east side. And imagine what he's saying is the same thing lots of other builders are saying. And so just wondering, like I said.
Yeah, earnest money, we reeled that into 3% of the offer. It was at 5%. And then to answer the first question, West Bellevue's probably taken the biggest hit. Anything in Bellevue, Lake Hills, roads over that way, they're still getting crazy money for those properties. The Clyde Hills of the world, South Apple Valley, some stuff at Houghton and, Kirkland, those areas have stayed pretty strong for us, but mostly the West Bellevue, Clyde Hill, South Apple Valley, we've probably taken 150K or so hit, whereas our values, 4 months ago were a couple 100K lighter than they would have been. But right.
So when you're going out, when you're going out making your deals right now, even in the markets that are still hot, that are not what you just mentioned, are you guys is your offer price less than it was before? Or is it just that your earnest money and your closing date, your earnest money is less and your closing date is extended? Are you able to pay as much, or?
Are strictly based on, I start with the end in mind. What am I going to build and what am I going to sell it for? Then I work all backwards from there. So, depending upon the value.
Are you guys projecting, you know, I get that. So when you're reverse engineering, are you projecting your exit value to be the same as you were before this started and you're just pushing the date out, or are you projecting it to be lower?
West Bellevue, we're projecting them to be a little lower. East Bellevue, no, they're the same, if not higher. There's huge competition for those properties in East Bellevue.
I had a builder I was talking to about a certain price, and then this thing happened, and the market remained super hot in that location. And he said, "Oh, okay, well, we're only going to pay this." And I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because of COVID." I said, "Well, the numbers aren't reflecting that the market's gone down at all. In fact, it's still super strong." And he goes, "I know, but you know that, but not everybody else knows that. So if we can get away with offering 20% less, then we will." I'm like, okay, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you put an $800,000 home on the market and, you know, in Eastgate, you're going to get that and then some, likely. A lot of people still want to come to Bellevue. They want to be in the Bellevue school district. We still have the basics of Microsoft and Amazon, you know, execs that are coming to this area. There's no shortage. There's a huge shortage of inventory, as we all know, and the demand is still there. You know, we're kind of in a bubble. We're kind of in a perfect storm on the east side where we're not affected by what the hell's going on in the world.
But the difference being the jumbo loans have changed or gone away. I don't know who's out there. Anybody out there? Are jumbo loans? What's the story on jumbo loans this week?
That's me.
Well, Deborah might know. Any lenders out there that might know the story on jumbo loans? Do we have any lenders in the room? Let me see if I can pick on anybody. I don't know. Don't see any. We'll follow up with that. But all right, guys, we're getting long in the tooth here. It's 12:21. Anybody?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go
quick
for
question
it.
for George. Hey, George. So we've had land deals under contract before, and is there a quick guideline, like trying to wholesale the land? Is there a quick guideline on what percentage the land needs to be of the entire ARV? Just so that as a wholesaler, you know, somebody that finds a deal, we could do a quick thing. Is it 10% of the cost, 20% of the total ARV? Like,
you know,
what's a good guideline?
I wish I had the answer. I've had that question before. For me, and for our process at MN, it's full because I've got a spreadsheet that I plug in. It's got an algorithm all in, and my job is really easy. I just determine, you know, my zoning, my square foot, and then from there I determine, you know, we've got a lot of plans that we kind of rinse and repeat with. So I can know if I'm on an 8,500 foot lot, you know, R1 Bellevue, I'll know the setbacks on everything. I'll know all the requirements, and I'll know I can plug in plan 182 or whatever, you know what I mean? And then I can run my numbers from there. So from a raw perspective, like what you're talking about, it's difficult. Depends on the size. Obviously, I get a lot of people that want to turn a 20,000 lot into whatever, 2-3 lots. We don't really do that. We're just infill. But you know, I wish I had a one size fits all answer for you. But for my purpose, my particular job, it's easy because of my algorithm and my spreadsheet that I plug everything into. You know what I mean?
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
I got somebody that can have that conversation with you a little bit, that does a lot of wholesaling of that sort of stuff.
Cool.
So hit me up and I'll connect you with him.
Cool.
Sorry, Aaron. I wish I could be more precise, bud.
No worries.
Anybody else as we're winding down here? Katrina, anything exciting? If you guys haven't heard about Real Kindness, I want to let you guys know about this. And for those of you that have platforms that can help get the word out about this, it's a good time. You know what? One thing that we didn't say here today, and now I feel like a total asshole thinking about it, is that we didn't take the time when we got started today to acknowledge what's going on here around the country in regards to the protests and, you know, all this discrimination that has been around. And we, you know, obviously probably all know it's been around. And so I want to say, I can probably speak for myself and Joe, and I want to make sure that I that I acknowledge and say something here is that I am educating myself. Okay, so I am taking the time to get more educated myself. And I am, I stand with the protesters. I believe in you. I care about all this. And again, educating myself to be more informed about what I need to do and maybe how I can use the Seattle Investors Club platform. And maybe some of us, Jennifer, and we can get together and talk about this on what we can do to put good into the world and help spread the message of anti-discrimination, and that we care and that we're learning as well. If anybody has anything to say, you're welcome to contact me, and I will do whatever I can to help you have a voice, and you can use my platform and Joe's platform here to do so. And so I apologize right now in advance that we didn't say this first today. So now it's said, but, we're with you. We stand by you, and everybody continue to educate yourself to be a good human being on this, in this situation that our country is in today. So there it is. With that in mind, we have our friend Katrina here. I'm going to wrap it down with some goodness and some kindness here today. And our friend Katrina, that is awesome to join us most weeks here, has started something called Real Kindness. And if you have not heard about it or seen Real Kindness yet, Katrina, go ahead and speak up right now and let us all know how people can engage and, your thoughts on what's going on today.
What you said, I am so in line with everything that you said. So thank you, Julie. And so Real Kindness is a group that we started on Facebook at the beginning of the shelter in place. And the idea is focus on what we want and bring other people's attention to what it is that we want to see more of. And for us, that's kindness, right? And so the Facebook group is up to, I think, like 2,500 members, 2,300 members, somewhere in there. And it's people from all over the country. And what they're doing is we're highlighting the kindness that we're seeing around us. It could be, anything from something you see a kid doing in the neighborhood to businesses or people on a large scale. This week, I think and each week what we're doing is giving away $1,000 to whichever posts get the most likes. So we're trying to bring what we're doing is we're bringing people's focus and awareness to that, and then just doing everything we can to encourage more of that. And it's pretty cool because a lot of the people who are engaging, they don't even know about the prize. They're thrilled when each week as it's announced. And, but the stories that are coming out of it are things that draw us all closer together and just, light you up from the inside. Over the past week, what we're seeing is just a real focus on, it's more unity, solidarity, and and bringing stories to light that in the midst of all of this remind us of what the common bonds are that connect us and how we can be more aware and make a difference of the things that are currently differentiating us, and also how we want to be connected. So it's really moving if you take a look at the posts that people are putting out there. And we have a lot of small businesses who are engaging and contributing and giving prizes, right? So things that we can give away. And the people who are making our announcements each week are pretty cool. The people getting involved and being a part of this. Joe Tafoya, who's a former Seattle Seahawk. Last week was a woman, I don't ever know famous people, but her name's Carrie Annie Bernance, and she was in, if you saw the movie Black Panther, she was one of the stars in there. She's a stunt woman. I mean, it's just really cool people who are seeing this and they're just saying, hey, we want to participate. How can we engage? So it's a lot of fun, and it's creating a lot of good and bringing a lot of people together.
I always find that it's easier to get involved in something when you know one of the players involved, right? You guys all know Katrina now. We're super, very laid back group here. Katrina is very easy to talk to. And if you've been looking for something to engage in or get involved in yourself, Katrina is a great person to talk to in that regard, to give back to your community and so forth. So I appreciate all of you guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Anybody have anything to add today? You know, any questions? Of course, you can contact me during the week or anytime. Just shoot me a text. My number is 206-910-2985. If there's any subjects you want to deep dive on, just let us know. We'll do a podcast on it. I think we have Todd McKellips is going to be coming on. I think. I don't know if he's booked or not. And did he book, Joe, or not yet? Not yet? Okay. I need to go chase him down. Tiny homes, subject matter. That'll be cool. I know we're going to have him. I can't remember. I can only remember what I'm doing like at the moment. So I can't remember who else we have coming up, but I'm sure we'll be dropping some good nuggets at you guys soon through the podcast. Other than that,
Julie, I just want to thank you for putting this group on. It has been so valuable to me from week to week, and the people who are here, you know, I'm learning not just one or two things. I'm learning a lot each week by what people are contributing. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I am also learning. So I just appreciate you guys showing up, and invite your friends, and let's continue the conversation. Even when this is over, I think it's a really great format. And you can show up if you want, when you can, and it's every Thursday at 11:30. And you know, we'll probably continue on this format even once we can get back together. And then we'll just throw some side parties so we can all see each other. How about that? All right, guys, I'm going to pull the plug on this today, and we'll see you next week. All right, thumbs up, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Be safe, be healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks, Julie.